I, 29M, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend Sarah, 26F, for 9 months. We haven't moved in together, but we spend most weekends as a couple and have started talking about sharing a home next year. The problem is Sarah's family. They contact her nonstop and she instantly prioritizes their needs over our plans. This includes her parents, siblings, and even distant relatives like uncles and cousins. They seem to view her as their personal errand runner and emotional anchor. Take last weekend, for example. We had arranged a kayaking trip for Saturday, planned for weeks. On Friday evening, her dad called, saying he needed a lift to the mechanic at 6:30 a.m. because his truck was acting up. Sarah agreed immediately, canceling our kayaking plans. When I suggested her dad could take a rideshare or ask one of her siblings who lived nearby, she acted as if I'd suggested something unthinkable. This kind of thing happens all the time. We've had to cancel dinner dates because her cousin needed a last-minute babysitter. We've left concerts early because her sister had a fight with her boyfriend and needed Sarah to intervene. I've lost track of how many of our plans have been derailed by her family's minor issues, which only Sarah seems capable of resolving. What frustrates me more is that her family expects me to drive her around. Sarah's car is old and prone to breakdowns, so when her family calls, she assumes I'll chauffeur her to their place, which is an hour away. Last month alone, I drove her there 5 times to help with tasks like rearranging furniture, setting up for a family picnic, or accompanying her mom to pick out a dress for a party. I don't mind lending a hand occasionally, but I feel like an unpaid taxi service. Her family never directly acknowledges my effort, offers to cover gas, or considers my time valuable. When I suggested to Sarah that we reserve 1 weekend a month just for us, she called me selfish and said, "Family always comes first." The tipping point was last Monday, my birthday. We were at a nice restaurant when her uncle called, upset about a broken furnace. Sarah wanted to leave right away to help, and when I suggested we at least finish our meal since her uncle has a wife and grown kids who could handle it, she accused me of not valuing family loyalty. I explained that while I admire her devotion, our relationship always seems secondary to her family's demands, no matter how trivial. She brushed it off, saying that's just how families operate and that I'd understand if I were truly committed to her. Am I wrong for wanting some limits here? I care deeply for Sarah, but it feels like I'm in a relationship with her entire extended family, who treat my time and car as their personal resources. Edit. Thanks for the feedback. To address some questions, Sarah has a standard 9-to-5 desk job, so her work doesn't clash with family demands. Her family isn't facing major crises or health problems. It's usually small tasks like, help me rearrange the garage, or drive me to the mall. I've brought this up with Sarah multiple times, but she insists I'm blowing it out of proportion, and that helping family is normal. Her siblings, aged 23 to 31, are adults with their own vehicles and lives, yet they also lean on Sarah constantly. Top comments. Commenter 1, not the asshole, NTA. This isn't typical family closeness, it's codependency. Healthy families don't demand one person drop everything all the time, and they definitely don't expect the partner to act as a free driver. You're not asking her to cut ties, just for reasonable boundaries. Reply from OP. Sarah keeps saying this is how real families function, but none of my friends deal with anything like this. When I mentioned that my family doesn't call me multiple times a week for immediate help, she said my family must not be close-knit. It's made me wonder if I'm from some detached family or if this is genuinely excessive. I started tracking, and in the last month, Sarah has disrupted or canceled our plans 12 times for family requests. That feels like a lot, but she acts like it's standard. Commenter 2. Does Sarah support them financially too? Or is it just her time and you're driving? Also, how does her family treat you when you drop her off? Reply from OP. I'm unsure about finances since we don't share money and Sarah's private about it. As for how her family treats me, they're polite but distant. They greet Sarah warmly but barely acknowledge that I drove her or gave up my day. It's like I'm invisible. Her mom might ask me to lift something heavy while I'm there, but it's more an expectation than a request. I've never been invited to stay for a meal or anything. I'm clearly just the ride. Commenter 3, NTA. But this is a glimpse of your future if you marry her. These family dynamics won't change with a ring. They'll likely intensify since you'll be family and expected to do even more. Reply from OP. That's my biggest fear. We've discussed living together, and I'm worried it'll just make her family's demands easier to impose on both of us. Sarah mentioned that once we have a place, we could host family events, and I'm already dreading our home becoming their hub. I love her, but I don't want a lifetime of being on call for her relatives' every whim. Update. After reading your comments, I decided to have a serious talk with Sarah about setting boundaries. I wasn't asking for anything extreme, just 1 weekend a month reserved for us, barring real emergencies. Sarah's response caught me off guard. She got defensive, accusing me of trying to pull her away from her support network. I clarified that I wasn't asking her to cut anyone off, just to prioritize our relationship sometimes. She said she needed time to think. Apparently, thinking meant discussing our talk with her mom. 2 days later, Sarah's mom called me directly, something she's rarely done. She lectured me about family values, saying Sarah has always been the dependable one and that everyone relies on her. She called it disrespectful and alarming that I was trying to distance Sarah from her loved ones. When I explained I just wanted balance, she interrupted, saying if I truly loved Sarah, I'd support her family duties instead of making her pick sides. The worst part? She said, Sarah's been with this family for 26 years. You've only been around for 9 months. Know your place. She also mentioned that several relatives had been discussing my controlling behavior in their family group chat. I was stunned. I had no idea my request for couple time had become a family-wide debate, or that wanting boundaries made me manipulative. When I told Sarah about the call, I expected her to be upset at her mom's overreach. Instead, she said she understood why her mom called and suggested her mom might be right about me not valuing family. We had a heated argument where I explained the difference between supporting family ties and being treated like a free shuttle service. Sarah insisted I was exaggerating and that her family's requests aren't excessive. When I pointed out the 12 canceled plans in a month, she accused me of tallying favors and said you don't keep score when helping loved ones. The argument ended with Sarah saying she needed space to consider if we want the same things. She's been staying at her parents' for the past week, and we've barely spoken. I'm starting to feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. Sarah's family sees me as an outsider disrupting their dynamic, and Sarah seems to agree. I love her, but I don't know how to build a relationship with someone whose family views couple time as selfish and boundaries as control. The irony is that Sarah's mom accused me of forcing Sarah to choose, but they're the ones demanding she pick by refusing any compromise. Edit. Many asked about Sarah's upbringing. From what I've seen, Sarah was raised as the family's go-to helper. She's the middle child, and her parents have always leaned on her to handle disputes and logistics. Her older sister has a busy career and kids, so she's too occupied to help much. Her younger brother is in college and deemed too busy for family duties. Sarah works full-time too, but somehow she's expected to be available 24/7. Top comments. Commenter 1. The fact that your private talk became a family group chat topic says it all. You're not just dealing with Sarah, you're up against a family system built to keep her as the designated fixer. Reply from OP. This really resonated. I knew Sarah was tight with her family, but I didn't realize how much they discuss her life among themselves. After her mom's call, I noticed how often Sarah says, "We were talking about you in the family chat," or "everyone thinks." It's like her family collectively decides everything, including our relationship. Dating Sarah feels like dating a council where every choice needs their approval. Update 2. Brief recap. Sarah's family demands constant help. Her mom called me controlling for wanting boundaries, and Sarah's been staying at her parents' for a week. I wasn't planning to update so soon, but Sarah returned to her apartment yesterday to grab more things and asked me to come over. We talked for hours, and it felt like we might find a way forward. She said she better understood my perspective after some time apart and was open to setting limits with her family. But then I noticed a bank statement on her counter. I wasn't prying, but I saw a recurring transfer to what looked like her parents' account. When I asked about it, Sarah got nervous and tried to dodge the question. After some pushing, she admitted she's been sending her parents $1,300 monthly. This explained so much. For months, Sarah said she can't afford to split certain costs with me. I've paid for most dinners out because she claimed money was tight. She said she couldn't contribute more to groceries for our weekends or gas for trips. I've covered about 75% of our shared expenses, thinking she was financially stretched. But she's not. She's giving nearly half her income to her parents. When I asked why, she said they need help with their mortgage and utilities. I asked if this was temporary, like during a financial hardship, and she said no. She's been doing it since starting her job 3 years ago. It's just expected. I asked about her parents' jobs, and get this. Her dad is a full-time manager at a warehouse, and her mom works part-time as a library assistant. They're not rich, but they own their home, have 2 cars, and go out frequently. When I pointed out they seem to manage fine, Sarah said her money helps them live comfortably and that it's normal for kids to support their parents. She mentioned her siblings pitch in too, but not as much as she does. What really upset me was that Sarah's been dishonest about her finances. Every time I suggested splitting costs more evenly, she said she couldn't afford it, while voluntarily giving away half her paycheck. We had a big fight. I told her I felt misled and wouldn't have covered so many expenses if I'd known she was choosing to fund her parents. Sarah called me selfish, saying helping family matters more than splitting bills perfectly. I explained it wasn't about the money, but the deceit and how it affects our future planning. If we live together, how can I trust her to contribute fairly when half her income is already spoken for? Sarah said she couldn't believe I was criticizing her for helping her family and that this showed I don't get family loyalty. She admitted she offered the money, but said her parents appreciate it and rely on it. Sarah packed more things and returned to her parents' house. Edit. Some asked if Sarah can live on $1,300 a month. She can because she splits rent with a roommate, drives a paid-off older car, and keeps her spending low. She doesn't buy much for herself and rarely goes out unless I'm paying. I thought she was frugal out of necessity, but now I see it's by choice to send more to her parents. Update 3. Sarah and I spent the last month trying to work things out. We had multiple talks about boundaries and money, and I thought we were getting somewhere. She agreed to discuss reducing her monthly payments to her parents and limiting family demands. But when she brought it up with her parents, it backfired. Sarah told them we were struggling with balancing family time and our relationship, and she wanted to find a middle ground. Instead of being supportive, her parents decided I was the issue and needed to be integrated into the family. This led to an invitation to a family dinner, something they'd never offered in 9 months. I thought it might be a chance to reset and build better ties with her family. The dinner was at an upscale restaurant with Sarah's parents, siblings, and their partners. The vibe felt off from the start. Everyone was overly nice in a way that seemed fake. Halfway through, Sarah's dad mentioned how great it was that Sarah had found someone financially secure who could support the family. I wasn't sure what he meant, so I nodded politely. Then the bill arrived. $450 for 8 people. Sarah's dad looked at me and said, "Since you're doing well and part of the family now, you've got this, right?" I was stunned. Sarah looked awkward and avoided my gaze. Not wanting a scene, I paid, but I was frustrated. On the way home, I asked Sarah what was going on. She said her dad probably just wanted to let me treat everyone and that it was nice to be included. I got $420 back from Sarah later. $30 was my share. But it didn't end there. 2 days later, her mom called Sarah about a family weekend getaway to a cabin they wanted to rent, costing $2,500 plus food and activities. Her mom implied they were counting on me to help make it happen, since I was family. When I asked Sarah if they expected me to pay for the whole trip, she said they probably just wanted me to chip in since I earn more, which isn't true. I make about the same as her dad. I told Sarah I wasn't okay with funding family plans for people I hardly know, especially without being asked first. She said I was overreacting. That's when it hit me. Sarah's parents realized I've been covering most of her expenses, freeing up her money to give to them. Now they want me to contribute directly to their family costs. I told Sarah no way. I'd contribute to plans I helped make, but I'm not a family bank account. Sarah said I was being selfish and that if I wanted to be part of her family, I needed to step up. Things escalated. She said her family was generous to include me, and I should be grateful. When I pointed out they'd never included me before and seemed interested only in my money, she called me paranoid and ungrateful. I asked Sarah directly, if I stopped covering most of our expenses, could she afford her share and still give her parents $1,300 a month? She admitted she probably couldn't. So I asked if she expected me to subsidize her contributions to her parents by paying her share of our costs. She went silent, then said couples should support each other's family obligations. It became clear. Sarah's family has a system where she gives them half her income. I cover her expenses to enable it, and now they want me to fund family activities directly. They've turned me into an indirect financier of their lifestyle. When I laid this out, Sarah said I was making it sound worse than it was, and that I should be happy her family wants to include me. She said if I loved her, I'd want to help her family. I told her I wanted an honest, equal partnership where financial decisions are mutual, not dictated by her family's expectations. Sarah called that cold and said real families don't work that way. We're at a deadlock. Sarah thinks I'm selfish. I think her family is financially manipulative, and she either doesn't see it or doesn't care as long as her parents are happy. Edit. Some asked if Sarah's siblings contribute like she does. Her older sister gives occasional help, but nowhere near $1,300 a month. Her younger brother doesn't contribute at all since he's in school. Sarah bears the heaviest burden, which makes her family's expectations of me even more aggravating. Final update. This is my last update because the relationship is over. After my last post, Sarah and I kept arguing about boundaries and finances for another week. I tried explaining my side, but she kept defending her family. The breaking point came when her parents forced a confrontation. Last week, Sarah's dad called her for a family meeting and asked me to come, saying we could sort everything out. Against my instincts, I went. The meeting was essentially an ambush, with me as the target. Sarah's parents, siblings, and their partners were there. Her dad started by saying they were worried about changes in Sarah since we started dating. They claimed she'd become withdrawn and defiant, prioritizing our relationship over family loyalty. They listed complaints. Sarah had started questioning their requests instead of instantly agreeing. She'd talked about cutting back her monthly payments. She'd missed 2 family events because of our prior plans. And she wasn't responding to group chats as quickly. Her mom said they felt I was manipulating Sarah and turning her against them, claiming she'd never acted this way before me. Her brother called me controlling for wanting weekend time with Sarah, saying healthy couples don't isolate each other from family. I tried defending myself, saying I never asked Sarah to cut contact or skip family events without reason, just for balance and financial honesty, but they'd already decided I was the villain. Then came the ultimatum. Sarah's dad said they'd discussed it as a family and didn't think I was right for her. He said she had to choose between her family and a relationship that was harming everyone. Her mom said they missed the old Sarah who always put family first and was always available. She said if Sarah chose a boyfriend over family, she shouldn't expect their support. The entire time, I waited for Sarah to defend us or call out their manipulation. Instead, she looked torn and stayed silent. Her dad asked her directly, "What matters more, this relationship or your family?" Sarah cried and said she didn't want to choose. Her mom said not choosing was a choice, and the old Sarah would have picked family without hesitation. This went on for an hour, with family members taking turns explaining why I was bad for Sarah and why she should end things. Their core argument was that I was pulling her away from them and changing who she was. Finally, Sarah said she needed time to think. Her dad said that was fine, but she needed to decide soon because the uncertainty was hurting everyone. On the drive back, Sarah was quiet. Eventually, she said she felt torn apart and didn't know what to do. I told her the meeting was manipulative and unfair, that her family was framing boundaries as betrayal. Sarah said she saw my point, but also understood theirs. She said maybe I had changed her, and maybe that wasn't all good. She mentioned missing how simple life was before we dated, when she just focused on keeping her family happy. 3 days later, Sarah texted me to end the relationship. She said she loved me but couldn't handle being caught between me and her family. I asked to talk in person, but she said her decision was final and talking would only make it harder. So that's it. After 9 months, Sarah chose her family's manipulation over our relationship. In her last message, she said she hoped I'd understand and wished things could have been different. I do understand. Sarah was raised in a family that equates independence with disloyalty and questioning demands with selfishness. She's been conditioned to prioritize their happiness over her own freedom, and breaking free would have taken more courage than she was ready to muster. Thanks to everyone who commented on my posts. Your insights helped me see I wasn't unreasonable for wanting a balanced relationship. Edit. Some asked if Sarah might realize what happened and reach out. I doubt it. Her family likely reinforced that I was manipulative and that she made the right call. Even if she has doubts, I can't see her defying her family again after choosing them so clearly. And honestly, I wouldn't take her back. Trust and independence can't be rebuilt after this.